Actually, one thing I wanted to bring up is part of something that I realized is, for myself, when I would track, and I'm generally a pretty happy dude, but the times when I'm not happy, I really spent some time. Actually, the float tank helped me with this. And as I was, we got a great new float center in Austin. And so I was going through there. I was like, all right, man, what's up with the fucking days where you're not happy and what's going on? Because that shouldn't exist. I have such a great life, but there's times where these fogs come in. And I was like, all right, when I'm not happy, it's because I'm stressed out of something. That's generally what's happening. And what that's doing is taking me out of the present moment. I'm no longer in the present moment. I'm either worried about something in the past or I'm thinking about something in the future, and I'm not just living free in that moment to just enjoy what's happening, the conversation of others, whatever else is going on. I'm in my own head. Well, what's causing that? Well, what's causing that is fear at a certain point. Because you're stressed, the root of stress is fear. You're either worried about something, losing something, so you're afraid of that, or you're afraid of something changing, you're afraid of part of your identity changing. And so, but what's at the root of the fear then? So if we figure that fear is at the very base of that, what's at the root of the fear is attachment and identity. And so if you're attached to, even if I'm attached to something that I love very much, like let's say On It, I love that company, I love what we're doing, but if I'm attached to it, then I'm terrified that something will happen to this, and I'll start creating these machinations in my head, because it'll feel like part of me is dying if that goes away. So if I can just remove the attachment and say, hey, guess what? I'm still a monkey. I still got my hands. I'm still okay without all this other stuff. Without if my relationships failed, if everybody around me died, I love them very much and they add to the richness of my life. But to not be attached and to say, you know what? I'm going to enjoy the hell out of them, but that's not me. I'm still just a being that exists and I'll be okay. And then that starts to eradicate the fear. And then when the fear starts to go away, then the stress starts to go away. When the stress starts to go away, you can live in the present moment. And when you can be in the present moment, you can, even if something's painful, it's just pain, it's not suffering. So you can be happy. And that was it for me. Now, doing that is super different.
The problem with our education system, Gore Vidal was saying this, is that we don't have an education system that teaches you how to think.
Right.
We don't.
That's so true.
And there is an art to learning, man. There's an art to learning. There's an art to how.
It's an art to being a human being.
That's right.
It really is, and no one teaches us. We don't know what the fuck we're doing. We're all idiots raising other people with the same flaws that we were raised with.
There's no manual for it.
Exactly, and when you look at what we consider our source of education, as far as like what is distributed to us nightly, what's the news, right? I mean, that's really the education that people have today. Once you get out of school, unless you're reading books on your own, where are you getting your information about the world? You're getting it from the fucking news. Well, the news doesn't really represent what's A, going on in the world, and B, it doesn't say anything about how you should be dealing with this, how you should be thinking, how we should resolve these issues.
You wouldn't take a horse to try to ride it and not train it. The same applies to a human being. You gotta start with the notion of, he was trying to teach philosophy in the sense that you better know what questions to ask throughout your life, and we should start with young people, educate young people the right way with the right questions. If you don't do that, then you've got to start with a base almost, and we don't do that, man.
The way school is set up, they have X amount of 1,000 kids, and they have to get these kids through with a basic understanding of the building blocks of our world. They have to understand math. They have to understand how to structure a sentence. And they have to understand how to form paragraphs, and they got to know what happened in the past. And then you're off on your own. Good luck, fucker. Next stop, college. Well, we're caught in this machine. There's a real machine going on with society today. And that machine is the building of society, the increasing of bandwidth, the interconnectivity that's provided by technology. It's all of that, and it's all of that with this exponentially increasing momentum behind it. And we're all caught up in that.
Yeah.
And we're caught up in that, and we have mortgages, and we have bills, and we have all these, but what we're doing is we're feeding this system. We're feeding the system of televisions and computers and cell phones and new clothes, and
It's distracting, but it's like what you're saying is it's we don't have a system. We try to with public education, but we don't have a way or a system to really teach people how to live the art of living.
No one knows what the fuck they're doing. And the people that we were raised by, they didn't know what the fuck they're doing either. I mean, my parents are very nice people. My mother is with my stepdad. They've been together forever. It's like they're a very nice couple. They're very nice people, but they were raised by people who didn't know shit. And
Right.
their parents were raised by people who didn't know shit. And this era that we're living in right now, it's like human beings are just starting to wake up and realize that we were all living in this weird sort of momentous world, this world that moves on momentum, and momentum doesn't make any sense at all. And we're all just waking up, realizing that it was set up by people who didn't know what the fuck they were doing. I mean, they knew how to build buildings, they knew how to use electricity, but no one knew how to teach society how to chill the fuck out, relax, and enjoy each other. Not one fucking person, besides like Martin Luther King and a few people with some dreamy speeches, not one person emphasizes that in the role of government. Not one person is pushing that, like, can't we figure out a way that human beings are just nicer to each other? Can't we figure out a way where there's maybe a little bit less profit, but also less pollution and less fucking with people and less control over the human populace?
A lot of it,
Isn't that possible?
I would say most of human history, almost all of it, has been not enough to eat and dying of disease.
Oh yeah, no, it's no doubt there's been a lot of things that led us to this point.
Yeah, it's trauma.
But this is also the first point. We have a responsibility.
So what gives you hope? I always ask people that
Pot.
because
Marijuana.
marijuana.
Gives me hope. Psychedelics give me hope. For real.
Yeah.
Not joking. It sounds ridiculous because people associate psychedelics with non-realistic things, with hallucinations. They don't look at it the way I look at it. I think that there are certain plants here that have aided in the evolution of human consciousness. They have changed the way people look. They've changed the way I look at people. They've changed my relationship with human beings. The way I look at human beings has fundamentally changed by having psychedelic experiences, and changed for the better. Made me a healthier, nicer person, made me more loving, made me more aware of the consequences of my own personal actions. And I think it's a shame that they've been derided to the point where it's a laughable topic. You know, if you say, well, you know, yeah, Rogan also thinks that mushrooms can cure mankind. Well, guess what? They could. If we all had really intense mushroom trips, first of all, people would come out of that with a complete reset. Come out with that, you would be healthy, but you would have a complete reset of the way you view eternity, the way you view this situation that we're in. We're so caught up in our own little culture and our own little situation that we have constructed and that we're fighting against and trying to control all these various aspects that we don't even think. We don't take the time to think about the incredible majesty of just life itself, and how amazing it is, and how incredible it is that you have friends and loved ones, and how incredible it is that you can have sex, and that you could drink wine, and you could eat steak, and you could go to a movie, and you can drive a car. We live in a fucking fantasy world. And I think that if people had some newfound appreciation, whether it's from near-death experiences, whether it's from psychedelics, whether it's from meditation, whatever it is, I think people operate their lives primarily on momentum. They get up the same way they've always gotten up, they move in the same way they've moved, go through the same job every day, and that momentum is very, very difficult to break. And even if it's not a healthy momentum, whether it's, you know, beating off to your dick bleeds or gambling all your money away, we still get stuck in that momentum. I need a drink. You don't even know why you need a drink. You're stuck in some wacky momentum. You could call it being addicted to porn, you could call it being addicted to the internet, but we're stuck in a wacky momentum. And the only thing in my experience that changes that is a complete reconstruction of how you view the world. And the only way to do that is to step away. You have to have some sort of a disconnect some sort of an experience where you get an objective look at things for the first time. You look at things as if you were someone completely unattached to every single aspect of your life and the lives of all the people around with you, but you get to see it like mapped out in front of you clearly and cleanly, with no ego, with no financial repercussions, with no, just you get to really see what it is. And that's not fucking possible for most people without some form of psychedelic experience.
Catalysts to say what has never been said, to see what has never been seen, to draw, paint, sing, sculpt, dance, and act what has never before been done, to push the envelope of creativity and language. And what's really important is, I call it the felt presence of direct experience, which is a fancy term which just simply means we have to stop consuming our culture. We have to create culture. Don't watch TV. Don't read magazines. Don't even listen to NPR. Create your own road show. The nexus of space and time where you are now is the most immediate sector of your universe. And if you're worrying about Michael Jackson or Bill Clinton or somebody else, then you are disempowered. You're giving it all away to icons. Icons which are maintained by an electronic media, so that you want to dress like X or have lips like Y or something. This is shit-brained, this kind of thinking. That is all cultural diversion. And what is real is you and your friends and your associations, your highs, your orgasms, your hopes, your plans, your fears. And we're told, no, we're unimportant, we're peripheral, get a degree, get a job, get a this, get a that, and then you're a player. You don't even want to play in that game. You want to reclaim your mind and get it out of the hands of the cultural engineers who want to turn you into a half-baked moron consuming all this trash that's being manufactured out of the bones of a dying world.